Just yesterday, we talked about Bitcoin getting up above $63,000. Well, it turns out 63 was not bullish enough. We briefly touched $64,000. And even though we've cooled off a little bit, we are doing some very, very bullish things that even is bringing one of the top Bitcoin trading experts to make a very bullish prediction about Bitcoin. What is it, though? We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more on this special Saturday edition of the Investing Bros. Strap on in if you guys are excited. T-Shroom, let's hit that intro.
Yeah.
This song always gets me. You know, I don't know. People never see, but I'm like in the background dancing during the intro every single time.
Really?
That's the outro. Go in chat. Put a 1 in chat if your favorite song is the intro song or the outro song. Some of you might not even know what the outro song is.
Okay, Tim, you totally butchered
watch
that.
the
Put
end
a
of the
1
show.
in chat if your favorite is the intro.
Oh,
Put a 2 in chat.
And then 2 in chat. Yeah.
If it's the
I got
outro.
ahead of myself.
2 for the outro, 1 for the intro, and 3
Yeah.
if you think Tim should just hang it up and this should be his last show.
That's true. Also, make sure you guys vote on the poll. We're going to discuss this today. I kind of hinted at it yesterday during our live stream. We're going to discuss, should you be taking profit on your Bitcoin or should you be holding it? And I think even more specifically, we might get into if anyone is in a similar boat to like T-Shroom and I, where we do not currently own homes, but that's kind of on the radar. I mean, I'm now married with a child. He's going to be married in literally less than 30 days from now. So, you know, that concept, that conversation comes up. Should you buy a house? There's a lot of debate on it, especially if you're an investor in Bitcoin. Put in chat if you guys think you should own a house or not own a house. And we're going to kind of discuss that a little bit later on in the show. It should be very, very fun. Shout out to a sponsor today of the video. Again, we have a lot of sponsors that help keep the lights on here, but a special shout out to Arculus Wallet. Guys, if you want to protect your crypto from hacks, if you want to protect it from sketchy exchanges who you never know. I mean, that's the history of crypto, is people get all this money, but they put it in some centralized exchange, and then something goes wrong and they lose all of it. The only way to protect that is by putting your money in a cold wallet. Well, we learned a lesson here last year. Some cold wallets actually are not as cold as they would like you to believe. They have back doors that allow entities such as the government to get into your cold wallet. But when you get Arculus, not only do you get a great wallet, but it's programmed. There's not a way for there to be a backdoor deal. This is the ultimate cold wallet, the ultimate your keys, your crypto. And the cool thing is when you click on our link and you use the code BROZ10, that's BROZ10, BROZ10, you get 10% off your Arculus wallet today. Go check it out if you don't have one already. And again, special thank you to Arculus for sponsoring the Investing Bros channel. T-Shroom, I have not asked you a very important question that is crucial to the show's infrastructure. How are you doing today?
Well, Tim, I'm glad that you asked. Because sometimes you just need to check in with your bros. But to be honest with you, my report would be I'm doing better than I deserve. And I know I don't say that a lot. I know that it may be the first time you're hearing that, but it's the truth. That's where I'm at right now, Tim. It really is. It really is where I'm at.
Username asks a very important question here. Can I keep my wallet out of the fridge or does it need to stay in the fridge to stay cold? We do recommend a nice cool location, but I think you can keep it out of your fridge if you want.
And Tim, I've got a question on this. Gary Cardone I think he was talking with Chris Inks. It was a great interview. He was talking about
two great guys. That sounds like a great video.
Yeah, like what's better, the cold storage, multi-sig, or an ETF? And Gary presented an interesting argument, which was all three. And I think that's a good answer for how early we are in crypto. Is like we don't know what the best storage is going to be. I think it's probably cold storage, right? But I mean ETFs, I think they're FDIC, right? So that's you have the FDIC backing if that's something you're interested in. I believe I could be wrong about that, but I think that if it's traded and held by a bank in that way, I think it's FDIC or multi-sig with a counterparty custodian.
The only thing I don't like about when it goes like FDIC or anything else like that, especially with a volatile asset like Bitcoin or any crypto, let's take, for example, this isn't FDIC, but the way this works is the same. Celsius. A lot of people know about the crash that happened a little over 2 years ago with Celsius. Millions of people lost money. A lot of people lost a lot of money. Well, it turns out Celsius is going to be paying people back. I think the same thing with FTX. People lost money in FTX. They're going to get paid back from FTX. All right, cool. That's really cool, right? The problem is they're going to pay people back in US dollars the equivalence of what their crypto was worth at the crash. So let's take, for example, FTX. The FTX collapse happened, and the price of Bitcoin was sitting around $20,000. So let's just pretend you held one Bitcoin in FTX. That Bitcoin, if FTX had not gone down, today would be worth $63,700. So theoretically speaking, you should be returned $63,700 of cash, right? Well, that's not how it works. Because it crashed when Bitcoin was $20,000, they're going to send you $20,000 of USDC. So your one Bitcoin just became less than a third of a Bitcoin. That's not something I like. Again, cold wallets, I will say, the only downside to a cold wallet is if you, the owner of it, are not responsible with holding your keys. I mean, ultimately, because even if you lose the physical wallet, those keys allow you to get a different wallet and then sign in and you're okay. But if you're irresponsible with where you keep your keys and maybe they get stolen or you lose them forever, that's the one downside to having a cold wallet. However, it is the only way to know 100% securely that nobody else can steal your money. That is only belonging to you if you have a cold wallet. That's why there's that expression, if it's not your keys, it's not your crypto. Well, and it turns out when you have keys to a hot wallet or even keys to, like, let's say a ledger, it still could potentially not be your crypto if there's backdoor channels where outside entities can use some form of an excuse to come in and take your crypto, right? So that's why I'm so big on Arculus. Not only is it really cool with how it has the card system, it's one of the fastest ones to get in and out of, but there literally is no code written in it to allow an outside entity to come in. So it is legitimately your keys, your crypto. The only way to know for certain no one could ever take that from you.
And Tim, we've got the link for them in the description. And you can get that discount with the code BROZ10. But some people might be thinking, but I don't want to work with, just like a newer cold wallet. I want to work with one that's been around. Well, good for you. Arculus has been around over 20 years of trusted innovation. So they're definitely not new to the block. They're one of the early adopters of this technology and service to bring it to you for that cold wallet storage service.
Yeah, I think I told you guys, I'm not going to pull it again, but if you have a credit card sitting by you right now and you look at the chip, because of course crypto hasn't been around for 20 years. So Arculus being a crypto wallet, it's not 20 years old. But the guy that created the Arculus wallet is the same guy that created the chips that go into your credit or debit card. So
I've got
again,
mine right here. Look at that.
Top technology, top trusted people, and again, the top trusted cold wallet. And again, it's a way that if you purchase one, you're also supporting the bros. And I'm thinking, we haven't decided yet. A lot of you guys have asked recently. We're going to talk about crypto today, guys. We promise.
Maybe.
A lot of people ask about this hat. People are saying, how do we get a hold of this hat? Well, ultimately, what we're going to do, and I have not decided which ones, we are going to have it so that if you purchase one of our affiliate links like ALGO, we have a couple more coming down the pipeline. I'm thinking about throwing Arculus into this as well. If you purchase one of our affiliates, we'll send you a hat. Now, we got to make sure we got to get the costs of the hat down. Again, I'm not going to tell you the cost of what T-Shroom and I are wearing on our heads right now, but it is not. It was more of just let's get a hat quickly.
It got
to
close
wear
to
ourselves.
It got close to 1 ETH. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay, we weren't.
We're having fun.
Price. Anyway, we're going to get the cost down, but that's ultimately if you want to own one of these hats, stay tuned. And anyone who's already purchased one of our affiliate links, and if it constitutes as one of the ones we're going to give away, we'll give you guys a hat. Don't worry about saying I have to buy a new one. But I'm going to tell you guys in the next couple of weeks which links, if you purchase from our link, would constitute the ability to get one of our hats for free. With that said, here, T-Shroom, do you have? Man, we have a lot. It's 10 minutes into the show. This is a Saturday show, guys. Though we're having fun. We're all over the place. People are going to watch us back and be crazy. The quote.
Way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. Warren Buffett, theme of the show. We're going to be rocking out with more Warren later in the Factoid.
How about this? How about this? What if you can find a way to make money in your sleep and work till you die? That's the goal right there.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, I do not want to retire. We talked about this yesterday. I have no interest in retiring. I feel like the minute you retire, it's like a clock starts on your mental capacity. And I have no intention to retire ever in my life. I want to just continue to find something to do, even if I'm not paid for it, find some way to challenge myself and work every single day the rest of my life.
True peace said sleep till you die. There's a nice
die.
nihilistic solution to this question. Let's look at some crypto.
Let's look at the bubbles first of all. Got a lot of sea of green again today. Doge, our big gainer, 20% to the upside. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you it's the top gainer of the top 10 because it's the top gainer of the top 100. Pretty easy math to put in there. WIF is up. Floki is up. CKB is up. I'll tell you right now, Pepe being up here, Floki, WIF, Doge. If there is any singular sign that the bulls are in control, it is that the meme coins are the big movers of the day. We told you that before. A lot of time memes move when the money's flowing, right? So that is a very positive sign for the market that meme coins are some of our biggest gainers of the day. Let's take a look, though, at CoinMarketCap and see what the rest of the top 10 is doing. Let me refresh this page just in case it's a little off. There we go. All right, Bitcoin, like we said, briefly was above 64,000, but 3.5% up right now. Ethereum 2.4, BNB 2.6, Solana almost 3%, XRP 2. Then you come in here, like we said, Dogecoin 20%, Toncoin 4.9, and then Cardano only 0.7 right there at 46 cents. Here's what I'll say. Dogecoin kind of spoils it, but if Dogecoin wasn't up so big, Bitcoin, the biggest gainer of the top 10, with the exception of Dogecoin and I guess technically Toncoin here as well. That is going to definitely spell a sign of this chart over here. Let me go to the correct one. Bitcoin dominance starting to move back to the upside. We're about to recapture that 55%. I know we technically went a little below it, but remember I told you guys to keep an eye on Bitcoin dominance. We were in this ascending triangle. We had not closed a single weekly candle above this until back the first week of April. I predicted that we would come back and retest this level and then move back to the upside. I still believe the next couple of months, or at least the next couple of weeks, we're going to see this chart move up into the right, and I'm still going to hold on to a 60% prediction for Bitcoin dominance. What's crazy is I'm meeting a lot more people, T-Shroom, that are saying that this chart will continue to go up throughout the bull market. I don't see that happening. I think just like we've seen in previous cycles, again, we kind of topped out here December of 2020. What does that mean? Does that mean Bitcoin was done climbing? No, it just meant it was time for the altcoins to go berserk. We went from 73% in December of 2020 all the way down to 40% by May. So just a couple of short months, massive drop in Bitcoin dominance. You see the same thing way back here, February of 2017. The Bitcoin dominance fell off a cliff, going from 95% to a little bit later that year, December of 2017, we dropped all the way to 35%. Either way, Bitcoin still was climbing in this period, but there's this sneaky little thing called altcoin season, and I believe that will come into play again. But more than likely, we're talking about late fall of 2024 before we see Bitcoin dominance fall off a cliff. So we might see some volatility, but I'm gonna continue to hold out. I think 60%, maybe a little bit above 60% comes into play, and then altcoin season tanks this chart off the cliff. We're going to talk about in the video during the news section there's a Bitcoin trading expert, somebody that I actually learned a lot from in my education and growing how I did technical analysis. This man was very, very prevalent in helping me understand charts a lot better. I've never got to meet him. I would love to meet him someday. I'm not going to say his name. You're going to see it here in a couple of minutes. There's a mystery guy. But he made a very bullish prediction based off of what he is seeing on the charts. In fact, I will say he didn't really give us a prediction in terms of numbers, but he's making a prediction in terms of what the upcoming price movement could look like. I'll tell you from my perspective and what I'm looking at, this is what you want to see. I got to go all the way to the 1 hour chart, guys. But remember this channel we had been tracking here, this descending channel. We're kind of in two of them, actually. There's a more grand one that we technically wicked below, but there's another one that kind of started back here on the peak back in April 8th a very aggressive descending channel. We just broke above it here on the 1 hour chart a couple of hours ago, and I love it. It's not over just yet, but it looks more like we're retesting it as support more so than we want to break back through it. And this is kind of even more communicated when you're taking a look at our oscillators here, mainly this stochastics RSI, where I got to kind of, let me see, I got to pull these down, I think, to show this. I want to show you guys what this looks like. Stochastics RSI did get overheated, and I thought potentially we were going to reject on this red line and drop below. But notice as we were kind of flirting with the red line right here, I'll zoom in a little bit more, the stochastics RSI in the 1 hour dropped back down to being overextended to the downside. And it looks like as we're reapproaching this red line, turning it into support, stochastics is at a low. It wants to bounce back to the upside. That's a very, very bullish thing. You pull in some of our other oscillators here. RSI is cooling off a little bit, but that means there's more room to grow. Our MACD is in the red, but it's flirting, kind of deciding whether it wants to go sideways or not. Let's see here. Money flow and what we're seeing with Luxago oscillator. Technically speaking, this right here should be a sell order on Bitcoin. But I'm wondering if that's just not going to be. This could be one of the ones that ends up not working out. Technically speaking, my strategy would say when I see this trifecta of a red reversal, bearish momentum, and negative money flow, I should enter a short. I should have entered it somewhere right in here. I'm not going to. What I could see happening is a wick back down to where the smart trail concept and this order block are sitting back down here at 62,700, give or take. So keep an eye on that. I think that if you're looking for a new long position on Bitcoin, that's a pretty phenomenal one right there. Technically speaking, on the hourly chart, we do have this very nice looking breaker block back down below 61,000. So if things really get out of control, there's a chance it goes down to that level. But I really do like the structure that we have currently right now being above this red line. The only thing that could ruin this is if there's some form of a fake out and we end up coming back down to the downside. However, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about Bitcoin's TA, keep an eye on a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern with a pretty good looking neckline right here. If we were to drop back down, remember I talked about the coming back down to these levels kind of in that place. Keep an eye on this little structure right here. We got a nice little left shoulder right there. He doesn't stay in the weight room very much. He doesn't have very big shoulders. He's more of a hothead, has a very big head. But if we did see price action potentially come back down below and maybe come back down to that level and then come back to the upside, we could see a little bit of a inverse head and shoulders pattern play out right here. I'm definitely keeping an eye on that. In case you're wondering the breakout prediction, what that would mean for Bitcoin, you take this chart right here, you move it over. This would give us a price prediction back up pretty much to the top of $73,000. And technically, I think, would not give us quite a new high. It would have us double topping at the official all-time high. Don't get me wrong, I think that's a little much. That's what this breakout prediction would say. I am going to be somebody who stays cautious around $70,000. You guys know I've kind of said, unless history breaks and does something different, post-halvings are more often than not boring sideways action for multiple months. And I told you guys $70,000, $71,000 area, a pretty good area of resistance, I think, in the next couple of weeks. So I would not be surprised to see us not quite get to our breakout prediction, fall short, bounce off of that, and potentially we see some more action in this range before a breakout later this fall for Bitcoin, sending us. I still am holding out. I think that Bitcoin has a decent shot of getting to, if not close to, 100K by the end of 2024, and then we'll see how explosive 2025 does get. T-Stream, I'm going to take a break from TA for now. We definitely can take a look at a lot of altcoins. It's not altcoin season, as we kind of showed in the intro. Bitcoin, other than Dogecoin, is the biggest gainer of the top 10, meaning this is a season where a lot of people are going back into Bitcoin. And we're going to take a look at a news story. There's a couple news stories to talk about. It's weird to have news on a Saturday. But we're going to take a look at a pretty big story from Grayscale that kind of is backing up that thesis. T-Shroom, while everybody smashes the like button and hits subscribe, why don't you go ahead and take us into some of those bullish stories? And since I'm just referencing it, let's start off with Grayscale. What's happening in Grayscale right now that should get everybody excited about the future of Bitcoin?
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. Well, we've got Greg Gressick here in the chat saying GM, throwing it up. He said, I need it. I want it. I got to have it. I think he's talking about that ADA, TA. We'll definitely get to that here in a few minutes for you, Greg. But the news is brought to you by who we trust, which is our friends over at iTrust Capital. Go ahead and click the link in our description for your chance at not a chance. You get a free $100 towards your first investment in crypto if you have not already invested. Let's get into the news, though, here. Grayscale's Bitcoin ETF sees first inflow after billions lost since January. Of course, famously, Grayscale's has the fee that's just higher than all the other ones by a long shot. But now, for some reason, that's changing course, and it's not because of the fee. GBTC had much higher fees, and investors yanked billions of dollars from it. Its Bitcoin holdings have dropped from more than 600,000 Bitcoin to around 290, so less than half Bitcoin, according to the fund data compiled by CoinDesk. While the Friday inflows ended the streak of net GBTC withdrawals. BlackRock iShares Bitcoin Trust is challenging the fund for the title of biggest Bitcoin ETF. GBTC now has 18.1 billion in assets versus IBIT 16.9. So they're getting neck and neck at this point. IBIT now in second place, started at 0 in January, while GBTC had more than 26 billion. So much has flown out of GBTC. But overall, we see it nicely reflected here on what I think is the most up-to-date that's available to the public without a subscription is over at sosovalue.xyz. And that's this here, right? This is the inflows and outflows, the net total flows. This isn't just GBTC, but as you can see, things were getting desolate, right? But then, this big candlestick, which was the biggest so far, went ahead and printed. And then now it looks like the bulls were waiting on that big dump, and now they're coming back in. So, but keep in mind, this is as of May 2nd. Okay, so this is delayed 2 days. Again, this information is a conglomeration from Wall Street banks, so the IBIT, the GBTC. So it takes a little bit to compile, and also they don't have to print this data until I think 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the day before. So that's how that works, and that's why that's delayed. But this is bullish, Tim, and GBTC looks like it might be trying to give IBIT a run for its money. But the thing is, and stay competitive. But the thing is with that fee, how could it? I don't think it can.
Well, but let's kind of address that. Let's even talk about how bullish that is. That Grayscale's back in inflows.
Yeah.
There's that kind of thought circulating the internet that the demand for ETFs had gone down. But let's just kind of put on our thinking caps here for a second. If even the most expensive one is back to having inflows, what is going to happen come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday when we get to look at what happens in BlackRock as well? This is clearly stating the demand is not gone. It's more of the story we told you guys. There is a series, especially when you have wealthy individuals get in, that they see a volatile asset and they take advantage of the situation. They buy, they shake out, they sell, they shake out, they buy. They're going to buy low, they're going to sell high. They know what they're doing. And again, I told you guys, if you go to my screen here, this is a tweet. I tweeted this out again this morning. So the first one's today. But this is 3 days ago. 3 days ago, April 30th. I put this tweet out and said, from here on out, guys, any purchase of Bitcoin below 60,000 is a great buy. It turns out we only had a couple of days at that level. This is how the whales are thinking as well. I told you guys when we were looking at this to keep an eye out for low volume on this dip. And even though there was some volume, take a look right here. We're looking at the 4-hour chart here on Coinbase. Does that look like a lot of volume to you guys? No, it does not. That's a very good sign. In fact, the big volume that comes in is actually a green histogram, which tells me that was a lot of more bullish action going to push us back to the upside. We never saw the excessive bearish volume that would give us a doom and gloom type of scenario. This more looks like an accumulation style phase, which is what Wyckoff discusses. And it looks like we got that spring action where we went lower, but we had a low volume spring. Again, this volume's nowhere as close to these other bottom situations we've had in Bitcoin over the last couple of months since early March. This is a good looking chart. This is what whales and institutions look at. And while everyone else was freaking out about the sub 60K Bitcoin, we here at the Investing Bros were telling you guys, keep an eye on this. This is a great buying opportunity. And what we're watching right now, again, I'm never going to say things in the sense of 100% certainty, but everything that I'm seeing from the charts and everything now that I'm seeing come in fundamentally from data standpoints in the news is suggesting you might have lost the opportunity to buy Bitcoin below 60,000. Like we might never see Bitcoin below 60,000 again. I'm not ready to put the nail in the coffin just yet on that one, right? There's always some things that could change on us. But everything that we're waking up and talking about this Saturday morning, May 4th, may the 4th be with you, all of you Star Wars fans. This is a very good sign that Bitcoin has more, it just has upside to go from here on out. Not saying we can't retrace back down to 61 or even maybe below 61, but I think it's going to be hard, T-Shroom, for us to get back below 60K again without some sort of catastrophic news. And don't tell me war, because that's already been there. Don't tell me terrible economic news, because that's been there, right? Ultimately, right now, we're seeing bad economic news imply you need to get your money out of US dollars and into Bitcoin. So that's not going to be the catalyst. They're going to have to come up with something else if they want to see Bitcoin price go below 60K. And I'm going to wait for it and keep my eyes open. But for now, I'm very, very bullish.
Yeah. And you might be sitting there, I'm going to go to my charts. You might be sitting there being like, well, what happened to, the Fibonacci levels where at least T-Shroom, you were saying, we could go down to 50, we could go down to 48. Well, when we were saying that, Bitcoin was down below this downtrending line of resistance, right? That has now been flipped and confirmed to the upside. And not only that, we are back up above the psychological level of 60,000. And now we are back up above this downtrending line of what was resistance for 1, 2, 3, and call it 4 taps. Now we're back up above that. That's very bullish, right? So 50, 48, those are still somewhat possible, right? But there has to be an event. There has to be a sell thesis. Right now, all the sell thesis have been played out. And that's why we're seeing a resumption through these levels of resistance. So yeah, I think it was literally less than 24 hours ago, we were probably saying 50, 48. So it's important for newer traders, newer investors to be like, how are you guys flip-flopping so fast? Well, it's because Bitcoin moves fast. And 24 hours ago, we were in a situation where that was likely, that was possible. We were still trading in the golden pocket. So that's the kind of nimble and agility that is required to trade in the crypto markets. That's why just DCAing is very, very important and not deviating from that. What you got, Tim?
I think that might be where you were. And again, I'm not saying that you had bad information, but if you guys go back to Wednesday, the day we had Caleb Franzen on, I said when we had just looked at 56, I was talking about 48 potentially based off how fast we dropped below 60. So back on like April 30th, early April 30th, maybe April 29th, I said, hey, there's a chance here. But when we hit 56.6 and the way we hit it, go back and watch the Wednesday show if you want the receipts. I said, hey, guys, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic. I'm not saying it's impossible to go lower, but this move, based off of all the negativity we'd seen, I told you guys I was satisfied with the pullback. Again, we're talking about Bitcoin pulling back from that high back up here on 73,800, almost to 74, a 23.4% pullback, right? That was with all the negative news. Why am I satisfied with that? Well, because what are the other big pullbacks? Back in January 2024, almost a 22% pullback. You come back here, you go back to kind of the July, August, September of 2023, 21, almost 22% pullback. These have been the normal pullbacks, 20%, 20%. 20%, just barely about 20%, has been every single time in this recent bull market that Bitcoin has cooled off, taken a little bit of a break from its bullishness, and then skyrocketed to new highs of this cycle. This is, again, seeing that all the negative news only brought us down to 23%, and now we're making a move back to the upside. This is something that makes me feel very confident. Again, could there be some sort of crazy story that none of us are prepared for that does drop us down to 48? Yes, there's still support levels at 48K. I'm not going to discredit those. I'm the part of the one that the guys that showed you, and you take a look at some of these indicators, we got some very strong support. Again, a big breaker block coming here at 48K. The problem is that this is such a bullish cycle, and the things that we're seeing on the shorter time frames that are showing us that the bottom of this pullback is in, it's just stacking up more and more and more. And the good news is, and we've said this a lot, but I just want to make sure this gets into everyone's brain. In case you've forgotten, from this date back in April 10th to this recent April 30th crash, we were hit with a lot of bad news. We had bad banking news. We had bad economic news. The war escalation in the Middle East, and we're talking about the Israel-Palestine debacle, is heated up to a level where people are kind of saying right now we are in the beginnings of World War III. That's all really bad news, and yet Bitcoin bounced after a 23% pullback and is now showing signs of strength. You're going to have to do a lot. I mean, we just got hit by haymakers and only fell 23%. That's a bullish sign. That is just showing you the overwhelming strength of Bitcoin, how confident people in the US and worldwide, people are confident in holding their Bitcoin. I'm kind of sitting here saying I'll give it a 10% chance that we break to new lows. That's probably pretty high, but 90% chance we will never drop back down below 56.5 ever again. 10% says we will, but all the news right now is saying more upside. Now, I think it's going to be sideways upside. Again, I'm not predicting brand new highs just yet, but I am predicting that the worst of the pullback is behind us, and it is time now. It's like, hey, can you get a purchase below 62,000? Grab up some more. Altcoins, of course, not running. Take a nice time to buy some low-priced altcoins right now, guys, because even though the Bitcoin dominance will continue to move to the upside, altcoins are going to start following Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a big move last night and into today. That is going to be followed by altcoins. They are always not that far behind Bitcoin's move. Bitcoin will keep the dominance for right now, but this is the time to gobble some low-priced altcoins for when the altcoin season hits later this year. It's going to go crazy parabolic, and you're not going to have to wait until December to purchase those. This is the perfect time to buy.
Yep. And also pay attention to the coins that haven't really pulled back all that much. Ondo comes to mind. It's kind of just been flat, right? Why is that? Well, because there was a sell thesis, right? Turmoil, volatility, but sellers did not want to sell. There were more buyers than sellers, and it was about at equilibrium for Ondo. So that's one that I picked up a couple weeks ago. Stacks is another one. I think that one did get a sell-off. Chainlink, and I actually am picking up some more today, or actually for the first time we'll be picking up Injective. I've never got exposure to Injective. I think these prices are pretty good for it. So those are some. Is that financial advice? Should you go buy those? You should do more research on them. Is the reason that I'm dropping those names for you all. Well, we'll continue here with the movement. Speaking of other coins that I do have some Dogecoin. And I bought it early, right? So buying it here may not be the best idea for you, bros. But it is under its all-time highs. Doge officially added to Tesla's payment option, but there's a catch. This to me is why Doge is up so much today. The catch is that it looks like it's only available for the Tesla shop, where I assume you can get like T-shirts and like upgrades to your Tesla, but it looks like you can't buy an actual vehicle in Dogecoin. So, there's a possibility that when the market figures that part out, there could be a significant pullback in Dogecoin. But I'm not going to sit here and get into a leverage short on Dogecoin. That you're not going to find me doing that, because that's just not smart, right? I'm a buy and hold guy, and if I see a clear and clean trade, whether it be through Tim's trading channel here on our Discord or elsewhere, I'll take a trade here and there, but I'm not fading Doge, even though there's a pretty compelling thesis that the market is not pricing it accurately for this moment. So that's that.
I think a pullback on Doge is expected, but I think it's one of those, like, if you're thinking it's going to go down below 12 cents again, maybe not. But you're definitely seeing. Look at what we kind of are running into here. Got a new breaker block. I would almost say we're rejecting right now on a 4-hour bearish breaker block. We're above our take profit. I wouldn't be surprised to see us come back down here, come back down to around 15 cents, hit our bullish breaker block on the 4-hour chart, and then make another move to the upside. If you're looking to gobble up some more, keep an eye on higher 14 cent range, 15 cent range for more Dogecoin.
Absolutely. And if not, what you can do is just smash the like button. That is an option that's always safe, and it's not financial advice. There's no risk in clicking the like button. No, we got a charming story here, Tim, but it kind of raises
real quick.
Go ahead.
Let's engage with chat here for just a second, because this is a good question. Bitnuendo. Bitnuendo. That's what I'm going to go with it. Would you guys rather short or just sell? Now, I'm assuming that what you're kind of putting out there is, at the end of the bull market, should people just take profit and then hold dollars and wait for lower prices over the next 2 years to buy more? Or should you radically switch your position and take profit and then use that money to short? I'll tell you this, I'll have a trading portfolio. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm a big proponent. And Josh and I talked about this the other day on the Stocks with Josh channel. You should have multiple portfolios, at least two. One of those is your buy and hold long term. The question is, should you have two buy and hold long terms? Like, should you have one portfolio that's like buy and sell every bull market and bear market? Or do you have another that's like buy and sell in 30 years to pay for retirement or pay something else off? That's the question. But then you should have a trading portfolio. So ultimately, Bitnuendo, my long-term hodl bag, no. If I take profit of anything, I'm taking profit, and I'm not going to turn on a short. I'm going to hold throughout the downward action of the bear market. I might, with my trading portfolio, where I'm constantly looking for long and short positions, I might enter a long-term short position on crypto when I feel like it's pretty safe to say the market top is in. But I am not going to take my large bag and flip it and leverage it into a big short position. I think that's a recipe for disaster, especially for Bitcoin going forward.
Yeah, that's not a good idea either. The trading is different from investing. If you want to try to short with your trading account, when experts start to pick the top for Bitcoin in probably late summer to late fall of 2025, somewhere in that range, that would be smart. But flipping your entire investment portfolio short on Bitcoin, which you can do through the stock market. There's a BitI is the ticker, BITI. You can short Bitcoin just through an ETF. But I wouldn't. Definitely not with my investment account. There's zero chance of me doing that.
Yeah. Dave D says best platform to long and short. There's a couple of them out there. We have a link down below for Blofin. Blofin, you know what's crazy, T-Shroom, is you and I were one of the first channels to partner with Blofin when not really anybody knew them. We kind of took a risk on them, and they're now today like one of the higher ranking derivative markets out there. They're growing very, very fast. So there's a link down in the description. Check it out. I would say that Blofin is kind of at the moment our choice. I think there's a couple other exchanges we might partner with in the future. I will say leverage positions. There's only so many exchanges out there that you can still leverage trade with. We probably will in the next 2 or 3 years here, at least in the United States, not have any options whatsoever to do any leverage positions. You'll still probably have some short, like spot shorts you can do. But Blofin absolutely is one I would recommend for all of you guys. And stay tuned with that. We're going to do a lot more. We talk a lot about Lux ALGO, our partnership. We talk a lot about iTrust. And, today we're talking about Arculus as well. But Blofin, they're coming out with a lot of stuff. People used to complain they didn't have a lot of spot trading. For anyone who doesn't want to risk and do a lot of leverage trades, I completely understand. In fact, when you're a new trader, I encourage you not to do leverage trading, to do nothing but spot trading. Well, Blofin I think it's like every single week they're listing 10 new projects that you can spot trade. I was on there the other day. Pretty much everything that most people have heard of at this point, you can now be spot trading on Blofin. So I really think they're stepping up their game. They're getting a lot better again. We partnered with them very early when they still had some issues here and there. It wasn't always, there's things they needed to work on, and they've worked on them. So keep an eye on Blofin, and if you want to get in early and support the bros, use our link down below. That's your leverage trading spot and your spot trading spot. T-Shroom, let's get into that story. Bitcoin expert with a crazy prediction on Bitcoin.
You want to jump ahead to that one?
Let's jump ahead to that one, yeah.
All right, let's do it. So this is from, drum roll please, we usually do this for the factoid, but Peter Brandt. If you picked him, you were right. If Bitcoin can hold these lows and move higher, the chart will qualify as a very common bull market continuation chart construction.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at here, it pretty much explains itself. I mean, these are English words here. Hump, slump, bump, dump, pump.
Mm-hmm.
Hump, slump, bump, dump. And then you do the math. You fill in there, solve for X. We could be in store for a pretty big pump.
Yeah. Again, Peter Brandt is somebody, if you guys don't follow him on X, I absolutely encourage you to do so. I do believe he is one of the more expert traders. Doesn't mean he gets everything right. He definitely has made some misses. But ultimately, what he's kind of highlighting here is what I was highlighting earlier. This is a very classic Wyckoff accumulation phase. And most people, if you go to my chart here, T-Shim, I'm going to kind of draw here. Most people think because they've read an article that the accumulation phase has to have like a bearish momentum, and then you have your choppy accumulation phase, your spring, and then you move to the upside. This is the most classic accumulation phase, but you absolutely can have accumulation where you rallied up into it, have your accumulation, hit your spring, and then move to the upside, which is what we've seen now happen twice in the Bitcoin bull market. Same thing with distribution. Distribution isn't just if you move up here, distribute, and then move to the downside. You can absolutely be coming to the downside, move like this, distribute, hit your spring, and then move to the downside as well. In this case, what Peter Brandt, now you can go back and show the chart here, what he's looking at is these very classic market manipulations where if you look at both of these, there's kind of a flat bottom-ish that all of a sudden one move goes below that level of flat support, very quickly springs right back up, and then you have this pump that comes in. That ultimately, in a nutshell, is the teachings of Richard Wyckoff and what an accumulation phase is. And so even though he doesn't give us a price target, he ultimately is implying here that we should be pumping decently. The next move should be a decent pump. Again, I'm going to be a little bit of a contrarian and say, unless we see a breaking in historical features, I'm not predicting a new all-time high very, very soon. But a pump back up to some of where those higher highs are, I think is absolutely doable. You trade a little sideways, and then the real pump comes. Let's call it, again, August is my expectation. Maybe we squeak it in late July, but I think August is when we should be watching for new all-time highs. And don't expect Bitcoin to just go to 75 and then cool off. I'm saying blast through 74, make a move up to 80, maybe hesitate around 80, 85, and then make its way even faster up to 100K before the end of the year. That's kind of my expectation for Bitcoin price action. And it looks like Peter Brandt, again, one of my never met him, but trading mentors, is kind of in agreement that should be the next step.
I love it. Very cool. Well, there's our expert. We've got another expert here, expert in being awesome, Jack Dorsey. Here's why Jack Dorsey's block will invest 10% of Bitcoin profits into Bitcoin monthly. And this is some of the details. Financial technology conglomerate Block is traded on the New York Stock Exchange on the stock side. Opened an ex-co-founder, Jack Dorsey, has decided to invest 10% of all profits made from Bitcoin-related products in monthly Bitcoin purchases. So it's not from Block's revenue total. It's not their full revenue line. It's just income from Bitcoin related fees and different ways of deriving revenue from Bitcoin activity on basically Cash App and other Block products. Dorsey believes it's just a matter of time before the internet, including artificial intelligence systems and agents, have a native currency, and the most efficient protocol for that is Bitcoin. Historically and moving forward, our investment in Bitcoin transcends technology. It is an investment in a future where economic empowerment is the norm. This commitment drives our business into new territories, unlocking novel opportunities for our customers and securing enduring value for you, our shareholders, Dorsey said. So, of course, that was said in the earnings call for Block. A very exciting move. Now, Tim, this is just cool, right? This is just a good story, bullish, everything like that. Jack Dorsey's awesome. But I have a question. Is what is stopping the crypto community, especially Bitcoin maxis, from saying, hey, look, we're only going to shop at CVS instead of Walgreens or whichever one. We're going to say, hey, Walgreens, CVS, if one of you all start investing in Bitcoin, just 1% every month, and holding Bitcoin on your balance sheet, we're going to go to one or the other and just shop there, or Nikes and Adidas, right? Or Publix or Kroger, or whatever it's going to be. What's stopping the Bitcoin community from organizing in that way and driving corporate adoption of corporate treasuries and corporate balance sheets? Do you think that that's possible, or do you think it's not needed? What are your thoughts on that, Tim?
My thought is that it's not necessarily needed, and I don't think that's how most Bitcoin maxis think. I think most Bitcoin maxis are somewhat of individualists. While there is technically a community there, like you don't have the same, like the Bitcoin maxi community isn't the same feeling as like the Cardano community or the Chainlink community or the Solana community or the Dogecoin community. Like there's this like there's like this tribalism of it's us against you in the crypto space. But when it comes to Bitcoin maxis, while there's a lot of them that agree with each other, it's more like it's me against you in the Bitcoin maxi space. So I ultimately think that they just see the vision of the future being that Bitcoin's the most successful, and it's going to be the greatest form of currency or the greatest form of value ever. I think that's a big difference. Whether it ever gets used as currency or not, it's the greatest form of value the world's ever seen. And they just kind of have the same kind of thought that I do. And I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, but I just see all dirt roads lead to Bitcoin being the number one store of value in the entire world. Does it happen by force? Does it happen by accident? Ultimately, the laws of economics, everybody, is that it will funnel. Everything will funnel to the strongest form of value whatsoever. And whether that is like if the US continues to try to fight the adoption of Bitcoin, and then you see all the BRICS nations just navigate there, and all of a sudden now the BRICS nations have taken the global power because they have the best value proposition, and now the US has to follow, or whether the US decides now, like, oh, we got to counter the BRICS nations now that are adopting Bitcoin and crypto, and we have to do it as well. Both of those lead to Bitcoin is the number one store of value. The question is, does it happen in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? I don't know. But it all will go there. Bitcoin will be the number. It'll be what wealthy people constitute their wealth in. There will be the question, how rich are you? Well, I own 10 Bitcoin. I own 45 Bitcoin. Ultimately, I think in the future, if you get to say, I own 1 Bitcoin, you are part of the 1% of the 1%. There's only 21 million Bitcoin, and ultimately, a vast majority of those are already gone. There's millions, like there's like 4 to 5 times that amount of millionaires right now. We can't all have that. So the ultimate flex of wealth will be, do I own at least 1 Bitcoin?
Yeah. Well, speaking of the world's richest people, it doesn't even look like, let's see. Yeah, speaking of the world's richest people, we'll just go straight to the story. I was going to do quite a cute intro, but Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway cuts Apple investment by about 13% in the first quarter. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway was, of course, famously late to buying Apple, but then went all in, not all in, but really, really invested very heavily, making Apple kind of this cash cow, kind of certainty play. So now that they're divesting quickly, is starting to be, somewhat troubling for Apple, for the tech company that has failed to show that it can innovate outside of the AR goggles. So this is obviously a mainstream, finance story, but this is interesting. Also comes at a time when the Warren Buffett, the annual meeting is taking place. I believe it's going on right now. So, a pretty big move. This could potentially have ramifications on the market next week, as some firms that kind of just copycat Warren over at Berkshire Hathaway's fund management may go ahead and divest from Apple as well. I personally don't keep up with Apple, so I don't know if it's going to be a good time to divest or not. But one thing I will say is that Berkshire Hathaway is not hurting for cash. It's not like they're selling this to rotate into something else. They have, I think, of the funds of their level, they have the most cash on hand of any other fund. That's Berkshire Hathaway. So they don't need the money. They're selling because Apple is not showing signs that they're going to be growing, in my opinion. And so that's a little bit troubling. And that leads us into our factoid of the day, Tim, unless you had any comments on this.
No, I'm ready for it.
Yep. And by the way, I will say, I have an iPhone. We're streaming this on an iMac. and that was gifted to us by Army Piper, by the way. Thank you, Piper.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an Apple guy. I'm not saying I don't like Apple. It's just from a company standpoint, man, they gotta make some improvements here. And now the pressure's on. I mean, when you have a market participant like Warren Buffett divesting from your company, Tim Cook's job is even looking uncertain, in my opinion. Got to get somebody in there who can really quarterback this thing. All right, moving into our factoid of the day, brought to you by who we trust, iTrust, over at iTrust Capital. Let's get into the factoid. Tim, born August 30th, 1930, what is Warren Buffett's middle name? Is it A, Edward, B, Harry, C, Rudolph, or D, Donald?
Oh, gosh.
Come on,
I have
Tim.
no idea. Warren E. Buffett, Warren H. Buffett, Warren R. Buffett, Warren D. Buffett. I don't know. Those all sound... I've never heard him talk about his middle name. I'm going to have to go with the one I hope that it is. I have no logic for this whatsoever. But part of me really, really hopes that it is Rudolph.
Okay.
I don't think it is.
Well, you got to pick the answer that you think it is, Tim.
I don't have a thought, so I'm going to go with my hopes and dreams.
All right, he's memeing it.
Say it's Rudolph.
You're doing a meme YOLO here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in classic form, you would be wrong. It is Edward. Yeah. Going over to the Oracle of Omaha's official Wikipedia page, Warren Edward Buffett is an American businessman, investor, and philanthropist who currently serves as the co-founder and chairman of the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. And as of April 2024, that's pretty up to date. He's the 9th richest person in the world. So still clinging to that top 10 status, Tim. Pretty impressive. Unlike your ability to guess right on that one. We're having fun. Well, we've got a lot of time here for question time. I saw at least one ADA TA request.
Absolutely.
PITH as well, PYTH from Drew P. And then injective would be cool, considering I'm about to dump a decent amount of dry powder into injective. I want you to tell me just how good of a decision I've made today.
Injective. Let's take a look at Cardano.
Let's do it.
Look at the 4-hour daily chart. Let's start off with the daily chart. Let's see what the daily chart's kind of saying. Let me start off. Let's just take a look at what's happening here. Got to keep an eye when it comes to Cardano, and I still had my marker on, so forgive me there. All right, got to keep an eye on this falling level of resistance. That's definitely still in play. Let me elongate that one just a little more. So for Cardano to get back to being bullish, it's got to get back above this trend line right here. Again, several touches here since the highs back on March 13th. Again, been rejecting on that trend line. Didn't even get back close to it back here on April 25th. So you're probably only going to need to get back to the highs of 52 cents or so to get above that yellow line. But it is what we need to see Cardano do to feel bullish about it. Right now, we're still under a sell order on the daily chart. And there's not necessarily, according to the daily candles, anything screaming that needs to reverse and get a buy signal. But keep an eye on a buy signal potentially. Cardano still has a nice order block coming in around 37 cents and then take profit down here at 36. Not convinced that's going to hit, but it is something I'm keeping an eye on. Daily chart, it's just not impressive when it comes to the oscillators. The only thing I'll say is they're low. Like the RSI was definitely down here below 30. The MACD crossed, got very, very low. Got into the negatives right there. Let's see what the Luxago oscillator is kind of saying here. It's not really a great buy. There was a good little long position right here, I would say, on the daily chart. So right in somewhere, where did I just have it? Somewhere right. It would have said to buy that one right there. And you would technically still be in that long because it didn't hit anything that would have told you that was a good take profit area. You wouldn't have gotten stopped out whatsoever. So maybe this is where we see Cardano go to the upside. We got to check out the 4-hour. I'll say this: daily chart, not wowing me. Right? There's the Bitcoin chart on the daily chart. I love what I'm seeing over there. Cardano, and I love Cardano, but I'm just not going to lie to you guys. I don't love what the daily chart looks like. When it comes to the 4-hour chart, let's start off by just looking at the indicators here. Take a look at here. We have a take profit and this breaker block, this bearish breaker block coming in around that 50-cent zone. I think it's going to be really hard. It's kind of come into that yellow line of resistance as well. We could see the price of Cardano make its way over here towards 50 cents, if I grab this market correctly, and kind of just hit our head there. Now, we do have a bullish breaker block on the 4-hour chart down here towards 45 cents, give or take. So do we fall to the downside? Like, I don't know which one we see first. I don't know if we did not mean to hit that. I don't know if we see the price come down and use this breaker block and then go up to the pink one, or vice versa. What I'll say, though, is that, again, it's not the right season for Cardano to feel super, super bullish. We're overextended on the stochastics RSI. I will say the RSI got back over the 50. That's a positive sign. But the MACD, after going positive on the 4-hour chart, kind of losing momentum. The Lux Algo oscillator here, not showing me any type of real money flow encouragement right here. Very sloppy, ugly looking chart. I'm not trading Cardano right now. I'm just going to give you guys best case scenario. Not best case, but like realistic best case scenario. I think we hit our heads on 50 cents again and then have a small pullback. But the narrative will change when we break back above this descending level of resistance. When we see Cardano get up here and break and potentially even maybe turn this into support, that will be when I feel more positive about the price action of Cardano. Again, as I just gave us like 4 or 5 minutes of negative sounding Cardano TA, it's not the right season for Cardano to have explosive bull market action. I am waiting for that till all the way into December. We have way over here. This is where price action should start doing something really impressive on Cardano's charts. I think if we're not already back close to $1, I think sometime December or January, we definitely shoot up over $1 and we start to make a good run. How far we get in that little short season, I don't know yet. I still am going to hold. I have a Cardano price prediction coming out in probably the next week or so, where I'll tell you guys my new updated 2025 price prediction for Cardano. But that's what we're seeing here on the shorter time frame. What were the other ones you said you wanted to take a look at, T-Stream, or we had chat kind of asking for?
Pith. And Bonk.
Pith and Bonk.
And Injective. Let's do Injective before Bonk, because Bonk is a meme coin.
We'll do Pith first. The last time I did Pith TA, we were in this rising channel and we broke out negative there. That's a pretty decent little pullback right there. Let's just even start with some classical TA here. Where do we pull back to? Just below the 0.5 level. Didn't quite get all the way back to the golden pocket. What I will go ahead and point out right here, guys, is it does seem as if this level right here, 48 cents, is that 48 cents? Yeah. No, 48 cents. Good little level of support. Definitely have several touches right in that range. Don't sleep on the gold. If we go bearish, though, don't sleep on 44 cents down in the golden pocket. Let's see on the daily chart. Let's see what's going on over here. We're bouncing off of an order block, key order block at the moment. So that does give you some encouragement right there. This chart's not really old enough to have a lot of support and resistance clouds. We're not at it, but I'm just not going to use that TA to really mean anything. I do like this. Here we go. All right. Stochastics RSI, very, very low, showing signs of strength, moving to the upside. RSI, very, very low, showing signs that we should be moving back to the upside. MACD just crossed bullish, and even though it's not aggressive, we're very, very low on the MACD. I think there's room to the upside there as well. And then we have the trifecta. There we go. Boom. This is actually a great opportunity if anyone wants to look into it right here. You guys know I talk about this trifecta of entry positions.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the daily chart, which means this should be bullish for a minute. We got the green reversal and the bullish divergence. We have the green momentum, and that's a bigger green dot. I love seeing the bigger green dots than the smaller ones, obviously. And our money flow just crossed back above the bearish threshold. The excessive sellers are gone. We have the trifecta of all three. Money flow, momentum, and reversals are all bullish. That should be good enough when you pair that with the order block here to say, hey, I at least think we can make, I think a conservative move is back up here to 75 cents. Let's just even kind of throw up here a potential trade situation here.
Nice.
We're entering right there. Boom. You're looking here on 75 cents. Let's put our stop loss kind of, we'll go a little bit below the low here, but ultimately I'm going to go right there around 47-ish cents. There's our little trade setup. That's the conservative one. The more aggressive one would be ride this bad boy back up towards all-time highs, back to $1. So you decide what you want to do. I'm a big fan when you're trading to take the more conservative trades. There's always a new trade to enter. You're always going to find something new. So I probably would enter this trade and take profit around 75, 76 cents. or keep an eye on it. Look at the momentum. Can we pick up volume as we get closer to that level? And then I might adjust and say I'll take small profits at 75 and then take more up over $1 at that order block. But I do love, again, I love seeing that trifecta signal on our oscillators. And again, almost everything else saying overextended, oversold as well. A lot of bullish confluence, a lot of support confluence on PITH. Glad we took a look at that chart. This is normally, again, I just did this. This is normally the type of rationale. If anyone's wondering what's going to be going on in the VIP trading group, it's stuff like this. You guys say, hey, Tim, can you check out blah, 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 blah. Like my personal trading, I'm normally keeping an eye on what's happening in Bitcoin, Chainlink, ICP, AVAX, Solana. I'm just used to those charts. But every now and then I enter a trade based off of somebody in the VIP trading group saying, Tim, can you take a look at 1234 coin? And I take a look and I'm like, oh my gosh, great opportunity right there. I put in the trading, I put in the potential trade opportunity. So if you guys want to be a part of that, go get the Lux Algo link down below. Show me. You can go in. There's a way you can show me. I addressed this yesterday, that your proof of purchase, and then we can submit you into the group to get some good feedback. And then we didn't get to do it this week. We didn't get our stream. There'll also be a once a week trading stream on Thursdays to make up for it, though. I told everyone in chat yesterday, again, I had to go home. Brody's feeling a lot better today. Like, I think the fever's gone now. Like, he's doing really well this morning. But I'm going to do one on Monday to make up for this week, and then we'll also have next Thursday as well. So that is the plan.
Sativio Shimoto asking, please explain PayPal coin. It's a stable coin, and it's likely backed by the dollar, by dollars and bonds. I don't think that PayPal is going to back it with any crypto. I could be wrong about that. But it's just a stable coin, right? Just like USDC or USDT, or DAI or JED. You know, there's a lot of other ones, but.
Boom. Carlos, I know we had another one next, but we have a super chat here. So we do need to prioritize super chats. Carlos Alejandro says, FTM, please. FTM, please.
Phantom.
USD.
And by the way, PITH, for those of you keeping score at home, is an Oracle competing with Chainlink, and it's a Oracle over on the Solana network, and it's a new one. It was launched this year.
Yeah, so what I'm looking at here,
or late last
going
year.
Back and forth here. I had this up before. You still got your value area high coming in down here at 53 cents. That's kind of close to like, but we've done it. Like, this is one of those things, again, major resistance level right here. We kind of left it untapped. We came back and touched it with a wick here on April 12th. I don't think we have to go down there. When I turn on other things here on the daily chart, you guys can see a breaker block all the way down at 43 cents, but that's very aggressively low. We hit our take profit on the more conservative side here. So from this perspective, could we drop back down lower and come to 49 cents? Maybe even come all the way down to 42. Technically we could, but I need to see signs of that before I feel confident. Let's take a look at our oscillators. Let's see what they're saying. Middle point. You could see a rejection right there on the RSI. MACD kind of not. It crossed bullish and it's low, but again, there's nothing special necessarily about that. Let's see what the Lux Algo oscillator is saying on the daily chart. Oh, this one's, you're going to be a day late on it, but we do have the green dot, the green momentum, and the positive money flow. Not as good as PITH. I will say PITH looks way better than this. This is one for sure because it's not really aggressive with the money flow or aggressive with the momentum. I'm going to say this one, for sure, if I'm setting up a trade opportunity here, I'm looking at the conservative level and I'm not really going to stretch that one. This is what I would say on the daily chart here. We can make a move back up to the smart trail concept. Let's just leave it there at 90 cents. Our entry point right now, currently right below 70 cents. And then I'm going to just get really aggressive here with my stop loss. I'm not even going down to the bottom of the wick. I'm going to just come somewhere here in the 63 cent range. You can go down lower if you want. I think a good rule ratio would be try your very hardest to risk no more than 1/3 of your goal take profit, right? So if my goal here is a 30% profit, I don't really want to risk more than 10%, right? So somewhere in that 9-8% range should be your stop loss here. If you want to be like, it looks like it is retracing. So what I might even say here is I'm going to order a limit order. I'm going to come down a little bit lower here. Let's see what the 1 hour is saying. If there's anything of significance down here. Yeah. Okay. We got a sell order. Let's do this. Let's put our let's put our entry point here. That'll give us a limit order down towards 66 cents, give or take. Let's go higher. Let's go up here to the breaker block, 67 cents. And now I'm going to be able to stretch this a little bit more down. That's kind of your entry. That's kind of your trade situation you got going on right there. Going back out to the daily chart for Phantom. But this is one I don't feel like you should be aggressive and try to get higher to the $1, maybe up to the 126. Because again, my signal here, which I love having, I got the trifecta of bullishness, but the volatility is not great. So why would I expect a massive move to the upside when the volatility has been slowing down? Versus when we looked at Pith, there was some very explosive volatility, so you could see a more explosive move. Thank you for that super chat. That's what we have for Phantom. What would you say? You said Injective was one that we wanted to take a look at here?
Yeah, but so many people are calling for SUI, SUI. You might as well just do that one. Because I'm going to buy Injective regardless. Do I think it's like the best coin to buy right now? No, not necessarily, right? But I don't have any exposure to it at all, so I wanted to pick up some Injective.
Okay. Well, here's what we got going on here. The first thing I will say is this daily chart technically has a take profit way down here where we have order blocks. So if things go bad for SUI, this is in play. But the sell order is way back here on April 3rd. This is the second take profit, meaning if I were to do replay and come back here when we first saw this, I'm guaranteeing you, take profit was right in here. This is a great example. ALGO says sell right there. You enter the sell, you hit your take profit and then some. So this is the updated one, right? So we haven't hit the second one. We haven't hit a buy order just yet, but we are kind of finding some good support on this order block right here. You do see a negative breaker block coming back up at $1.45. So if I come in here and I see reasons to potentially long this, I'm going to probably put a top loss, take profit right back here on 143. Let's see what our oscillators are saying. I like stochastics, very low. RSI is very low. Again, we're seeing the right things from the other oscillators. What we do not have yet is we don't have bullish momentum and we don't have the positive money flow. So the daily chart is not screaming buy. Maybe you see the 4 hour screaming it, but I don't think so. No, it looks like excessive sellers are coming in. So this is one I'm wait and see. I'm not necessarily looking at this and saying we have to look for – it looks like it wants to go down. I mean, if you're going to look for a very small short scalp and it's super small looking to come back down towards $1, that can happen. But if I'm waiting for a good longer-term trade, let's say on the daily chart, I do want to see the momentum flip, the money flow flip, and go bullish before I feel more confident on this one. SUI doesn't have that same bullish flare that we've seen on the other coins we've been looking at today. Again, not saying we have to drop back down to 80 cents. So anyone who's using ALGO and sees this and says, oh, well, take profits is 80 cents, just be aware. Sometimes you do see that where it originally says sell and it hits its first take profit so aggressively that it prints a lower one. And that's not, it doesn't need to go down that far. That's just kind of how it reassessed. However, in this case, I think we are going to continue to pull back into this order block right here. More than likely, we're going to come back down closer towards $1 before we see positivity. And in that case, again, what we're looking at right here, I'm surprised this breaker block's actually here still right now because we did bounce. You can see right here, this is a perfect example. We slashed through it, right? This is an order block back here. We should have found support. We slashed through it, bounced off of this order block, came back up and rejected on the breaker block. But it's what it's saying right now, in case you're wondering what this communicates, order blocks are levels of heavy buy and sell orders. So a lot of liquidations coming in this place. A lot of people still willing to buy and sell in that zone. And we bounced off it once, but clearly they still think there's a lot of people that want to buy and sell in this $1.40 zone. So it is the level I'm going to keep an eye on. But I wouldn't be surprised, actually, when the bulls finally take over, if it did see a kind of slash back through it, take out that liquidity, and then move to the upside. Because, again, I think the market is going to be more bullish here, but the charts are not giving me a lot of overwhelming optimism about SUI just yet.
Seeing a lot of chop SUI in the SUI.
There's so many things there's a lot of stuff we could do with SUI. I mean, all of our European football fans, of course, you guys know Ronaldo, and he's got the SUI celebration.
What?
Oh, you don't know about the SUI? You don't know about the SUI celebration? Do you even care about soccer, T-shirt?
That is not where the chat went. The chat went with Chop Suey the Dish, which is also a song by the famous artists over at System of a Down, which faces are somehow.
Put a 1 in chat if you know what I'm talking about when I say Ronaldo and the Sui celebration. Put a 3 in chat if you have no idea what's happening when it comes to Ronaldo. We're gonna find out who actually is a football fan and who's not. T-Shroom.
Is that what he just? Is that what
Clearly
he calls
you're
it?
not.
It's this. I know he has a famous celebration. I didn't know that was called a Sui celebration.
Yeah. It's okay. So people spell it differently, but when you hear them say what the celebration is, they say Sui.
Okay, I believe you. I believe you, Tim.
You're forced to.
Got to be careful looking at that. That's an anime. It's not even a real. It's probably FIFA.
Yeah.
We're having fun. Tim, did you get? I don't know if you gave us a report on Brody already, but things are looking up, right? There was a lot of prayers, a lot of shout outs.
Yeah, so anyone who didn't know, I'll catch them. Like I kind of talked about it at the beginning of yesterday's show, but 2 days ago, my son Brody had a febrile seizure, very very scary. But the good news is those are more common than I thought, and he's got a high fever, and he had a high fever, still even last night. So the reason why yesterday during the show I told you guys if I get a phone call from my wife I'm leaving is because he'd been doing well all day. I posted a video of him yesterday morning playing, but like literally as I'm walking in to do the show, I get a text from my wife saying his fever was back up to like 102.7 or something. So I pretty much said like, hey, like, try to cool him down. He was about to it was about his time for Motrin anyway, so that usually helps. I said, if you want to get him in a bath to help cool him down, maybe put a wet washcloth on his head. But I said, if for some reason you call me, that means something's wrong and I'm going to rush out of here. But he ended up being completely fine. I got home last night after the show. He was smiley, giggly. We ran around the house playing. I think the fever broke because I think this morning the highest we've read was 99. But again, for the last like 24 hours, he was hovering between 100 to 103. Oof. So, you just don't love it for especially a small child. And again, he can't communicate with us just yet. So it's hard for him to say like what he needs. So we have to kind of decide for him. But today he's had a great morning so far. He's running around, he's playing. He actually, one of his tests was at 97. So like, that's a pretty good sign that it's like 97.8 or something. Like it's a good sign that the fever could be / should be over. So that is the update on Brody. Thank you everybody who is praying for him and thinking about him. He's made a couple appearances on the show. He'll have to make another appearance very, very soon.
The comeback.
He's doing good. Yeah.
Candle Daddy said, good dad right there, Tim. And I can attest to that. You are a good dad, Tim. Now, username asked me if I am a System of a Down fan. And what I had to say to that is, wake up.
And I don't get that reference.
Do you don't like System of a Down? It's okay.
I have no idea what that is.
Really? They're
maybe I've heard their songs, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with the name of is that a band?
It is.
Okay.
It is a band. And Tim,
my deductive reasoning is still there, but I just
yeah, they're pretty big. But they're from another country though. They're not. Or I guess the band was formed in Glendale, California, but they're all from like Armenia or something like that. Yeah, Armenian ethnicity. Some people may not have known that, but I did. Your boy T Shroom over at Investing Bros.
Good for you.
Has some very smash the like button-able trivia knowledge. So, yeah, no,
I would tell you to sing the song, but we've just had a track record of every time we sing songs, we get copyright infringements.
Wake up, grab a brush, put on a little makeup, hide the scars that fade the way you shake up.
I've heard that song. Table? Okay,
there you go. Create another fable. You wanted to grab a brush, put on a little makeup.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. That's like close to 7 seconds right there.
Right, and for those of you at home, wanting to keep things PG in your life, System of a Down is not PG. So just take that for what it is.
Yeah.
But they're if you like to get into like hard rock / metal, then you'll be wanting to check out Toxicity, Aerials, BYOB. Again, not PG by any means, but they sound good if you like metal, you like hard rock, all that kind of stuff.
Who is your favorite band?
Radiohead.
Radiohead?
I think Radiohead, just from like what a band is, I think it really is just the best, right? The System of a Down probably would be in my top 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What? How about yourself, Tim?
I don't know. I'm not. I play music. Like I would consider myself a musician of types. I grew up playing a lot of music. I still from time to time will pick up the guitar. I do a lot of worship music though, honestly. And like when I work out, people ask me what I listen to when I work out. I listen to podcasts when I work out, and when I listen to music, it probably is worship genre. I will say there's a new song that is very catchy that I've been playing with Brody, and Brody loves the song. Like
Baby Shark?
The minute he hears this song, he starts giggling and smiling, and I'm calling it his favorite song. It's this new, and this is so different again because I just told you guys I mostly just listen to worship music. When I play music, I play worship music. This is definitely not a worship song, but it's this new. Have you heard the? It's a bar song, "Tipsy" by Shabuzi. It's like a new country. Yeah, just look up Shabuzi so people can see an image of him. And he has this song called a bar song, "Tipsy," and it's about it's pretty much just about like, man, life sucks, everything's expensive. Pour me out a double shot of whiskey. And some of you have heard this song. We're not going to sing it because we're not going to do copyright infringement. But yeah, this is the new face of country music right here. Go back to it.
Why do you think that someone singing is going to get it? Or do you seriously think? Or are you just
because every single time that we have done this, the video we get something that says copyright infringement.
Okay, but me singing, you don't think that me singing it is going to get copyright infringement?
One episode, you did not play any song. You just sang a song, and we got copyright. And I've seen it. Like, I've seen other large YouTube channels. Like, I remember one time I was watching a Dude Perfect video, and one of the guys started singing a song, and they cut him off and said, "That's enough. We don't want to get copyright." Like, they get you. They get you.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think I've heard this song, Shabuzi.
And we can't play. Maybe we'll have to play it in the Discord. We'll put a link in the Discord. People can hear it. It's a pretty, like, it's kind of trending right now on like TikTok and like a lot of like newer.
Do you like Morgan Wallen? Wasted on You.
Wayland?
Morgan Wallen.
Yeah. There's a couple Morgan Wallen songs that are okay. I don't listen to a lot. I just somehow this song came into, like, I heard it on like TikTok or something. I liked it. One day I'm sitting there feeding Brody in his little high chair, and I play it on like our Alexa, and he loved it. And he started giggling and he was bouncing and he was dancing to it. And now anytime I wanted, like, he laughs for a lot of things, but now it's just like, all right, let's have a dance session, Brody. Let's play a bar sung by Tipsy. And the minute he hears the first couple notes, he starts giggling and laughing and dancing.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. Jerry Seinfeld, Melissa McCarthy, Jim Gaffigan, Hugh Grant, Amy Schumer, all of your favorite actors are in this movie, Unfrosted. Pop-Tart Will Rise. This is a movie that I'll be watching with my parents today. It's just been freshly listed. It's the top 2 trending film,
star-studded,
on Netflix, and it's apparently family friendly. Although judging by this cover, it looks like there's a lot of violence. Look at that! Look how violent that is. But it looks like it's probably going to be like a nice little anything Jerry Seinfeld does, especially nowadays. He's not super active. Last thing he did was like comedians in cars getting coffee. Me and my dad love to watch that. But you like Jerry? You like Jerry Seinfeld?
That's whatever. We have a couple of comments. Can you guys get back to crypto? Listen, it's Saturday, guys. We like to have fun, but it's time to kind of wrap out the show anyway. We will close out with some bonk TA.
Oh, okay.
And then we will move on. Again, I saw multiple comments before asking for bonk. But it is what it is. Let's see here. I like that. I'll tell you immediately, even before I was looking at this, got a little bit of inverse head and shoulders on bonk here at T-Shroom. Got a nice little left shoulder right there. Got a head. Got a nice right shoulder right there. If we were to play out this, and I grabbed the wrong thing.
Yeah.
There we go.
Little inverse heady.
Little inverse head and shoulders pattern for bonk. Let's see what this would say. This would give us a take profit up here towards new highs, it looks like. It's a daily chart. New highs on bonk up to, that's 4 zeros and then 6929. Again, that's going to be hard to do. I think a double top somewhere around the all-time. It's possible that happens, but just kind of pointing out that's something to keep your eyes on. When I turn on the indicators here, again, this is on Coinbase. I'm on Coinbase right now. Is there a better chart I could be on? How old is bonk? Do you know? December 23. Does that sound about right? Was it before? It was around before December.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just when it got into Coinbase. Kraken maybe gives us more. Nope, that's going to give us like the same timeline. I don't know. We're just going to stick to Coinbase.
Oh my
Whatever.
gosh, look at this. There's like an action figure for Bonk. That's actually
Oh my gosh.
It might be AI generated, but that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look here. So what we have going on, we're rejecting at the moment right around the smart trail concept for the daily chart and an order block. You do have a nice little breaker block all the way back down where that head is. But yeah, we kind of tested the breaker block. Yeah, so we created it right here. We retested. I don't think we need to go back down to the 4 zeros and the 1 5. Let's see what the oscillators are saying here. They are a little higher, but they're positive. Again, here's what I love. Yes, we're high here on stochastics on our side, but we bounced off the 50. That's actually very bullish. The MACD still wants to stay positive. Luxago's oscillator, it was a buy signal way back here, right? So you would have longed April 19th. What's April 19th? What was happening in the price? Oh, look at that. A perfect bottom position there to long. Let's go a little bit further into the 4-hour chart and see what it's telling us here. Hit our temporary take profit. It does look like the 4-hour wants to cool off. The money flow is not negative yet, but we got the reversal and the bearish momentum. So I would not be surprised in the next couple of hours to see this kind of curl over and go to the downside. But the daily chart, I actually kind of I think that there's going to be some sideways action here. I think that I'm just on this little oscillator. I think sideways action. We definitely could pull back down here to 0.00025 back to this breaker block on the 4-hour chart. But I think you are going to keep an eye on a potential upward movement here. Can we get to new highs in the next couple of weeks? Maybe. But don't be surprised to see Bonk trade sideways. It had a nice run up today. It was one of our top gainers. So maybe a little bit of a cool off back down here to the again, 4 zeros, 0.25. And then maybe we start to reassess a bigger move to the upside for sure here on Bonk. Again, other coins I'm a little more bullish on, but Bonk, shorter time frames saying downwards, longer time frames saying we've had a good run, but we could go up a little higher here. That's what we're looking at for Bonk. Trade setup, in case you guys are wondering, let's just do a little small trade setup real quick. I'll look for this. I'm not going to go all the way up there. Let's go to the daily chart. Let's take profit in this order block here on the daily chart. That's about a 38% right there. I'm going to start order, so I'll go a little bit more than 10%. I'll do a little like 13, 12%. Let's do a 12% stop loss right there. Take profit. We're looking back for that 2.5 level, and then again take profit up at the 3.3. That is the Bonk TA for today, guys. That's going to wrap out the show for today. The shows for this week. We will be back on Monday. Going to keep the same times. Look forward to those 9 a.m.s with T Shroom, where he bonks the news every single morning.
Give it a good bonk.
Then, of course, we have our live shows at 3 p.m. in the afternoons. And then, again, this week was a little different, especially with everything happening with Brody. But we should be back to posting some uploads at 6 p.m. next week. Got some price predictions and price updates for you guys going out. Stay tuned for all those. Smash the like on your way out. Smash the subscribe if you have not already. And look at this poll T-shirt, perfectly 50-50. Are you planning to sell your Bitcoin 2025? 50-50. That's we got a nice balanced audience here.
That's wild.
Love every single one of you guys. See you next week. Adi.
Oh.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor, the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros.